welcome to episode 22, I believe, of the MMA Pod with Pepe and Dab. You should be impressed that I remembered that because I don't have it here in front of me. So the fact that I was able to remember that off the top of my head, I'm quite proud of myself. But I'd also be a lot prouder of you if you'd ring that bell, hit subscribe, and maybe leave a comment. And the thumbs up button there would be a good idea too. Helps us out, maybe help this thing grow a little bit. But yeah, as always, welcome to episode 22 of the MMA Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Dab Hatter, along with my co-host for another week.
Hola, buenas noches. I'm Pepe. How you guys doing?
So there's a lot going on this week in MMA, and there's a lot coming up this week in MMA, and not just MMA, the world of combat sports altogether. But let's get into the original fight first that I had seen. I didn't realize Bellator was on. Shout out to Pepe for sending me the reminder. So we all at least got to watch that.
And it was a good timing because we have everything on Saturday. ESPN is now doing the fight nights. ESPN has a lot of content to be putting on Saturdays because it's college season. So there's a bunch of things going on. It's perfect timing because it started a little bit earlier, and then you came on into the main event for Bellator. So I watched them both quite extensively.
Yeah, no, both had lots of good fights, but the fight night I was actually quite impressed with. A lot of close fights. One big comeback, actually almost two big comebacks. One really big comeback though. Lots of finishes, and I think the final. I would say Anthony Smith would surprise me, but I don't know. I always expected him to. He's good, man. He's good when he's on, but when he's just had some off nights. But shout out to him. Obviously, he got the one. But we kicked the night off with Emily Whitmire and Hannah Goldy. Hannah Goldy getting the win by submission in the first round, 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yeah, that was a quick start for a weird night on the prelims. I missed it. I just saw the replay on that one, so can't tell you much about it.
So in Canada, I don't know if it's the same on the actual ESPN app. We don't get the ESPN Plus and whatnot in Canada, so it actually just broadcasts on TSN. But we always end up missing either the first one or two fights. I don't know why that is. I think it's just a timing thing and the way TSN fits it into their scheduling, but I always end up missing the first one or two fights, depending with TSN, so I also missed that fight.
It might be in some of the cases. For example, in my country, there are things that are running over, so they don't put the early prelims. They just walk you through either the main event or some of the later ones on the early prelims.
And that's why they used to break it down too, and they still break it down like that on pay-per-view cards, where you have early prelims, and then the main card. And we have early prelims and prelims still, but it's just always, like I said, the first one or two fights in the early prelims I end up missing for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just, and there's no way for me to watch them either because I don't have ESPN Plus, unless I think I would have to buy the Fight Pass or whatever it is in Canada. But I don't know how it goes. But good for Hannah Goldy. Moving right along, we had Gustavo Lopez. Was
a draw.
Alan Tangley.
Yep, there we go. Highly Alteng.
So been a while since we've seen a draw happen. I can't think of when the last one was.
Can't think of one either.
But did you get a chance to see this one? I didn't get into this.
It was a back and forth fight, not much of a technical fight. It was just brawlers going at it. Really, I think the draw is fair. You could have called it either way, but I'm happy with the result. I don't think there's much to write home about this one, which ended up in that draw. There's some takedowns in the middle. There were some people just going at the fight for punches, but nothing clear to just be given to one or the other. So that was a very weird draw on a long fight for both of those fighters.
And then we had Kasanganay versus Carlston Harris.
Yeah, okay.
Is that not? That's close, isn't it? Kasanganay.
Close. Yeah.
I would think that's pretty close. But with the first round knockout, this is where I got into it. And this is where, so obviously, if this was the first fight I had seen, and then there was quite a few finishes afterwards, or and if not finishes, just beatdowns. So that was the mentality I had at this card at the end of the night. Like I was impressed by it. There were all some pretty unanimous decisions, whether that be by knockout or unanimous decision.
Now, Impa Kasanganay, if you
Okay,
remember, Impa, he was the guy that got knocked out by that crazy backflip kick that he was holding.
Yeah.
In this same card, I think it was Montel Jack. No, not Montel Jackson.
Well, Montel Jackson was on this same card, but if it wasn't him, yeah, no, I'll bet you.
No, I can't remember the name, but well, Impa was that guy. Actually, he was a great right hook that he got him in the knockdown. It was one of the best punches that I've seen throughout the night. It was just that right hook follow up with a combo and the knockdown and a quick finish. So Impa came back strong because of those, and this was on the same night.
Now, was that the fight? I know it must have been the main event that I had seen where there was the huge comeback where the guy was like, and then he come back and won in the third round with the knockout. Maybe it didn't go all the way to the end, but there was.
And this one, it was very clear. Impa was dominated.
Yeah.
Kasanganay.
There
you go.
There we go.
Good job. Well, we didn't practice on this one before.
No, I didn't. Not at all. Then the next fight of the night, we had Aaron Blanchfield winning against Sarah Alpar with a 3-round unanimous decision. From what I remember of this fight, there was a lot of ass kicking and ground and pound.
Yep. Very good. Now she's only 22-year-old. She's doing the UFC debut. She was coming from Invicta. Good outing there. Dominating performance by Blanchfield. In that case, there was a lot of ground control by her. Good takedowns. It was above, I think, 8 minutes or overall on ground control.
Yeah.
A lot of ground and pound, as you said. 60, how's it called? The major strikes that she was doing. I mean, it was all around a very good fight for Blanchfield, dominating. It was very close to finish it on the ground. She had a couple of hooks in there, one rear naked choke. Couldn't finish it, but it was dominated across. And you can tell she was ready, prepared. Cardio was perfect. Good outstanding. It was on the ground, but it was completely one-sided fight.
It's funny how when you start talking about it, it brings back. You do a good job of that, Pep. It brought back the whole fight to me, and I remember the ass whooping that this 22-year-old put on Sarah Alpar, and it was indeed that. And then I remember at the end of the fight, she says, "The only thing I wish I could have done better is I really wanted to finish the fight." And
exactly.
She with her post-ring interview with I believe it was Bisping.
Some of those brain cells are coming back.
Oh yeah, you just got to re-jog the memory. One fight I didn't forget is the Montel Jackson JP Buys fight. This was the biggest bet and odds fight. Montel Jackson, the huge favorite, but JP Buys, he didn't. His wife made out better. They both lost on the same card, I do believe.
Correct.
And then his wife come back with a sweet head kick knockout that was a highlight reel knockout. And then this was JP's return fight, and man, he give Montel a hell of a fight. There is you can't discount this kid. He was on top of him right away. He was right there with him the whole time. But Montel Jackson just showing his brute strength and coming out with the decision after 3 rounds.
Now, one thing there, Montel's called quick. We need to change that freaking nickname. He's lightning quick.
Yeah.
He's punches. He's striking. It's just amazing the way he was handling. Now, kudos to JP Buys. On the first 2 rounds, he was going at it all across. Punches. He needed to be close because Montel's distance was perfect.
And he was just teeing off on him too. Like his face was fucking busted up by the end of the fight. As good as a fight, or like as good as a fight the guy put on. Which he did very well, a lot better than I think most people think. He's still on his way in. Anytime he was on the outside, he, like you said, he was just eating fucking punches.
Now, one problem in there. What do you do with him? He's giving you all that it takes. He went for guillotine, standing on the back. He was trying the arm bar. I mean, he tried everything, but he gassed. So in the third round, he was just a walking zombie walking into punches. So that's the problem of what do you do with a fighter like that? I mean, you cannot give up on the fighter because he's got the heart. But is there something else from JP? I mean,
At that
he
time,
can.
I would, you know what I mean? Business is business, and we all know that's what the UFC is at the end of the day. He's gone, you know what I mean? Maybe he can do the comeback story and go to one of the other leagues and whatnot, build their name back up, and then come back. That's like, obviously it's never over for the fighter, and sometimes leaving the UFC works in their benefit anyway. Obviously the UFC's the pros, everybody considers it, you know what I mean, the elite, and that's where you want to go. So it's more of a bravado thing, I think, for a lot. Well, not even a bravado, as just like, that's the pinnacle. That's that I've become the best at my sport and what I do. Go to the UFC, so I can understand why people go there. But when their luck runs out, so to speak, or stuff like this happens, sometimes they're able to go back. Look at Brandon Moreno; he's now a champion. So it is possible, and I think that's probably where we'll see JP Buys go. I don't know if this is his second fight of a 3-fight deal. Who knows? Maybe he had a third fight before this. I really couldn't tell you, but I do remember his last 2 fights looked good in them. But if you can't win, you can't win. And Montel Jackson really impressed me, and he'll be one that I remember moving forward, be looking forward to on cards moving forward.
On the last round, he had it almost on a knockdown.
Yeah.
He did a 1-2 punch. He rocked him, and he could have gone and finished, but he said, "Okay, keep it standing, and let's get at it."
Yeah.
It was just one-sided fight for the second half. The first half, he was more of a problem. There was a good scramble. I mean, this is what I like about Montel, because
he weathered the storm.
Yeah, he weathered the storm. He had to wrestle. He did a lot of defense, good underhooks whenever he was trying to take down, good balance whenever he was a one-leg takedown. It was just perfect for him on going all the way. But unfortunately, as I say for JP, I'm not sure if he's just
JP looked really small. He looks really small in that division.
Yep.
I think it wouldn't. It wouldn't hurt him to maybe try to move down a division, because I don't know if Montel Jackson. No, I know exactly, and there's no way. I know what it's like trying to lose a pound.
Exactly.
These guys are trying to lose 5 and 10, and they got nothing to lose. Yeah, so no, I understand that, but it's doable nonetheless. And I don't know if Montel Jackson is just big for the weight class or not, but it seemed like there's quite a big weight difference between the two. And Montel Jackson, I think it just showed, look at the power that he has, because not only does he have the striking, he had the power to defend all that stuff off. He was using technique just as much, but you could see the strength difference between the two. And for him to be that big with that much of a reach advantage, you got to think, okay, well, one's either really at the top of the division and the other one's right at the bottom of the division, and maybe JP could try moving down. Who knows? If you're not winning and you're going to have to fight guys like Montel Jackson, then what more can you do?
You need to think about it. Yeah,
exactly. And another one who put on a great fight was Rong and Brandon Jenkins. This fight went to TKO in the 3rd round. This might even have been the fight that it was the fight, because Rong, in my opinion, was getting his ass kicked. Well, not his ass kicked. They were kicking the shit out of each other. And Brandon Jenkins, I think, was getting the better of the fight. So I had thought, but Rong able to finish it in the 3rd round with a KO TKO.
Now, one thing that they were mentioning over and over in the commentating is Rong is 21 years old. Yeah, he was born on the year 2000. Yeah, what were you doing, Bisping, in the year 2000, etc.
He's fighting.
Yes, he's 21 years old, but the problem is he's fighting a guy that took the fight in short notice. I'm not sure if it's 1 week. So yes, he looked impressive, but there's a guy that came in just in the last minute just to be a human punching bag, and actually he got a good fight, and he was over and over again saying, I was hearing the ref going, do not grab the cage, do not grab the cage, do not grab the cage. And I saw the memes flying. Now, yes, good outing for the Chinese guy, but still, we need to put that in perspective. And it was never mentioned by the commentating crew that this guy took the fight in a short notice, and it takes a toll on your cardio. And obviously in the last round, it's when he was giving up. Now, 2 things that I want to point out about Jenkins. His corner is amazing. He was almost getting choked, and the corner was giving the instructions so calm. It's like, Let's do this. Put your elbow, get the hook. You're right there. Move. There's no panic from the corner. It's very weird that you hear a corner doing that because they're screaming out loud, you got to turn and don't give up away your back. This is amazing because they kept the kid in the fight. It was just a very good job. And he was taking all the instructions and doing it. And that's why he survived the 3 rounds. Although Song was prepared, he's very strong, he's very skilled, but we need to point out it's a short notice fights, and this is going to be happening because of the situation we have with the virus.
Yeah, and I thought it was I thought Brandon Jenkins did pretty good for only having that long a notice before jumping in, and I think he was giving Rong the best of his, you know what I mean? I think he was best in him. I really do, up until the 3rd round, and then Rong landed that knockout. From what I remember, it was like Jenkins almost knocked him out, and then Rong come back and then finished him within short succession of each other, if I do remember correctly. And I just remember thinking, wow, and I was impressed by both of them.
First one was very good. That's when Jenkins came out the best. Obviously, you're fresh. Round 2 and 3, it was a little bit downhill when, you're tired. You have that guy on your back. You have to be fighting off of him. It's hard. Now, question that it was given to Bisping, what were you doing in the year 2000? He said, well, probably fighting on the street and almost getting into prison. So what were you doing, Bong, in the year 2000?
What was I doing in the year 2000? I was just starting high school, I think.
Golly, man, I was already working, but let's leave it in there.
Yeah, no, I believe I was just starting high school. So
golly,
long time ago.
I was already working by that time. We were dealing with the computers crashing on the 2000.
Oh yeah, Y2K, yeah.
Exactly.
So he's a Y2K baby.
That's a Y2K baby.
Well, we know what his parents were doing around the same time.
Exactly.
Worried about the end of the world because it comes every day. But
China, dude.
Somebody who wasn't worried about anything was Raquel Pennington, showing why she is a constant vet as she defeated Kianzad with a decision in round 3. It was a good fight, but I think there was no question Raquel had the fight won.
To me, it was a bit close, and you can tell on Raquel's face that she was a bit concerned about it. Now, let's talk about Raquel Pennington. She went through a lot, mentally, physically. She had an illness. She had a scare there. She changed a lot. She changed trainers, gyms, and physically, if you can tell, she looks different, a lot slimmer, a lot tight, better cardio. So she has gone through some fights. I think she's in a better headspace for it. Remember, we have to just remember that she fought Amanda Nunes for a title bout not long ago.
Yeah.
So she has had her battles, and she's coming back on this one. So kudos to her because she put it in a very good fight. Now, there was a long fight. I think it was 2-1 and the overall, but she was not so sure that she got it all the way through and through. Now, I just want to recognize a fighter that is putting to work, that is making the changes, things that we have not seen with other fighters, and not trying to get better. I think she has, and this was a very good fight for her because she came out in the end with a unanimous decision, which to me, it was 2-1, but in the end, she won.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good fight all the way around, like you said. But yeah, like I think the judges got it right. The judges did pretty good for the most part, from what I recall. I don't remember ever thinking the judge robbing anybody this time around. So we've had some pretty bad ones as of late. So it's good to see. Hopefully, well, it's Vegas, the Apex Center, right? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, now you want to talk about crazy judges. Was it the Bellator fight?
Yep.
Yeah,
it was.
Wow, I couldn't believe that, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But we ended off the early prelims with the Mike Rodriguez fight versus Tafon Nchukwi.
There you go. Got it.
Light heavyweight belt. Tafon getting the finish. The unanimous decision. All 3 rounds.
Yeah, that was a one-sided in that case. No questions asked in there. Nchukwi was a stronger fighter. Very good job in there. No problem with the judges in that one. That was one of the easiest one for the night.
And then we got into the main card, and there was no judges needed for the first three fights, as all of them were finished by pretty convincing KO. Joaquin Buckley knocked out Antonio Arroyo. Third round, 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Beautiful. All three of these were great knockouts.
Antonio who?
Antonio Arroyo.
Arroyo, because
Arroyo.
he's Brazilian. Remember, ours for Brazilians are Arroyo. Arroyo, very good. Now, this is the guy, and now I remember, Joaquin Buckley was a crazy leg kick on the back that Impa was holding.
Yeah.
So Impa and Joaquin were on this same card. These are
and he's the one that did the spinning back kick and kick.
That
now,
is
Joaquin has had a fight between that fight and this fight.
That is correct. And it didn't look as well, but also finished. And he's got 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And he has finished the fighter. So
middleweight.
He's in an upscale. This one looked a lot better than the previous one. The previous one, he's got the punch, he's got the power, he's got the physique. So it's interesting to see where he's gonna be moving.
And then we had another finish in a bantamweight. We had Nate Maness versus Tom Gravely. Nate getting the finish 2 minutes into the second round.
Now, this one is interesting because this match was already been scheduled for, I think it was April, but Maness had an injury, undisclosed injury again, but they kept this fight not touched. They did not touch this fight. They move it from April to this date. And I know now why they wanted to do it, because both fighters, they wanted to measure who was the best fighter above all. Gravely finished the first round with a right hook, and he was looking forward for him, but then Nate came back and answered. So it was a very good fight. In the end, it's Nate the one coming on top, but it was very close. This is a very interesting fight. Both fighters are good. Now it makes sense why they wanted to keep that match, to see who's the one that has a little bit of age.
And I think
I saw it.
I think this was actually the fight too that I was thinking of kicking this off, where I remember it was going really one-sided, and then the guy come out in the next round and finished it. This was the fight that I was thinking of.
That is correct.
And hey, Nate, good win for Nate. But yeah, like you said, they both look great. Then we had another finish with Arman Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan. Oh, he's silent.
There you go.
If I'd have known that he was silent. And Christos Giagos.
Tsarukyan.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I guess it does make an S sound.
Yep.
And Christos Giagos, Arman getting the finish.
Quick fight.
Yeah, no, it was real finish. 2 minutes, round one. Nice knockout. Like I said, all three of these were really nice knockouts. They'll be highlight reels for the year.
Now, Christos is way too much of a talker. He was yapping and saying, and just the bravado was coming out of him.
That was a lot of the theme of the card too, though, because we had a lot of talking in a couple of the other fights, even the main event. Even that surprised the fucking hell out of me. We'll get to that once we get to the main event. But yeah,
Lionheart. But in this one, Arman is the real deal. He's strong. He's fast. He had Giagos on a takedown, but Arman was very, very good. Perfect technique on attacking the side where the kick was, because Giagos was going for the kick. And as they always tell you, hit him on the head whenever that kick is coming. If he's not taking care of that, and that's what happened with Giagos. He took the leg, and on that, it was a counter right there. So Arman is a real deal. He showed that he's strong, he's technique-wise, he's intelligent. It's going to be good watching him fight in further fights. And Giagos, well, he ate the words and the punches.
And then we had one of our only two non-finishes of the night was Ariana Lipski versus Mandy Bohm.
Do not mess with the name of the princess of... She is one of my crushes in there. She's so freaking cute. but she's so freaking dangerous that could kill you. So Lipski, remember the name.
Lipski. Yeah, no, I definitely will remember the name. And she got the unanimous decision at the end of the third round.
Yeah, Mandy try a lot of times to go for takedowns. Lipski turned it around very well, very good technique. It's not because I have a crush on her, but she's a very good fighter. She's better at striking and standing, but in this one, that's where her defense came out and do it. Great shots by her. I mean, it was just perfect, perfect shots in between. Good knockdown in every round. In every round, she either had a combination or a right hook, and in every one, she had one knockdown. So it was clearly going her way. She was clean. In previous fights, she has this problem that most of fighters have. Whenever she gets a punch in the eyebrow, it starts
swelling,
bleeding, etc. So in this case, she did not have that one. That's the one that I looked, and she also improved that she was covering that side whenever she was throwing that kick, because it's usual that you throw the right kick and your hands are low. She was doing it covered herself. So very good outing, impressive from her side. She's beautiful, none to say.
And then the second judge's decision of the night had Ion Cutabella, the very one-sided fight against Devin Clark. He ran the ring with Devin Clark in every sense of the name. There was absolutely nothing Devin could do for Ian. He had crazy there. Obviously, Cutabella is always crazy at the weigh-ins. Painted himself up like Hulk the one time. Screams in everybody's face. So he gets in that mind space. So there was a lot of tense words and whatnot, and he was being pretty over the top when they were calling him all, like announcing them and whatnot. But he proved, and like he said at the end of the fight, he says, "I'm back, I'm back." And if you remember, this is the same guy that the ref stopped the fight because it looked like he was knocked out on his feet, but he was only drunken boxing, is basically what he was trying to say. You could tell that he wasn't knocked out on his feet. It was a horrible stoppage by that ref. But yeah, he definitely looked good again tonight. He lost his last fight.
It was a draw.
Was it? Did it end up being a draw?
Dustin Jacoby.
Yeah,
that was
that's
a draw
right.
before. Yeah, but he lost twice to Magomed Ankalev.
Yeah. Because
that was a back-to-back, one in the States and one in the Abu Dhabi side.
Yeah.
It was in back-to-back he lost those. So that's why he said, "I'm back."
Yeah.
2 losses, 1 draw.
And then
he came back, and you can tell he was there with a mission.
Yeah.
And that Moldovan guy, it's just crazy. He got into that headspace, and it's like, I am going to go nuts on it. And he did.
He literally, I'll rip whatever limb that I can get a hold of off of your body and then beat the hell out of you with it. And
dude, he messed up Devin Clark's teeth. And
he punched his bottom teeth out.
Yeah, and remember that one. And on the corner say, "Hey, do you want to continue?" I say, "F."
He's like, "They're fucked already." He's like, "What can I do?" Yeah,
let's go.
Shout out to Devin Clark.
Kudos to him. Now, concern about Devin Clark. He is a massive man. He's big, huge. He looks slow. So that's a problem in there.
He looks slow, but he looks small against Cutabella too. Or Cutelaba, sorry.
Cutelaba, yeah. In that case, I don't know if that's the case because of the height, but still, he was not quick on his feet, and he was just a standing target. And the ground and pound and wrestling side from the Moldovan just took over. And Devin at one point was so frustrated because there was no answer on it. So there's a lot of work to be done in there. He's a very disciplined guy. He's down to work, but still, that's what we were mentioning on the previous fighters. Is there a picking point for them where they need to be going further from their just regular skill set?
It's pretty hard to come back from a loss that convincing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get absolutely demolished like that. But on the flip side of that, we'll move right along to our main event, because Anthony Smith, who absolutely dominated as well. You know what I mean? If we go back 3 fights, I think, to the Glover Teixeira fight, he himself got his teeth knocked out in the corner. You know what I mean? I think my teeth are falling out, I believe is the quote. And he got absolutely, you know what I mean? Glover Teixeira beat him, overpowered him and whatnot. But since then, Anthony Smith has been on an absolute fucking tear. And I'll admit, I don't want to say I've overlooked him. I definitely wasn't thinking of him as a contender whatsoever. I thought of him as a stepping stone. I thought he was going to be like the key to the upper parts of the division. But the way they did his little vignette and him talking about like he got in the mindset of how he's being overlooked and the whole so on and so forth, and it goes through and it shows his career, and you forget just how long fucking Anthony Smith has been fighting in the UFC and how dominant he has been all through that time. So to see him come out last fight, he won by fairly convincingly. It was finished as well, and then to see him come out and then beat a great up and comer like Ryan Spann in the fashion that he did, that would definitely give a guy like Devin Clark some hope. You know what I mean? To lose like that in your division and then see Anthony Smith come back from what he did, it can be done, and nobody's proven it more than Anthony, I think.
Now, one thing with him, he was mad and pissed off at everyone and everything, including Spann. Even though Spann at the end, he wanted to shake, he was pissed. He was on a mission. And I agree with him because he is overlooked. We are overlooking at him because he's too nice of a guy. We see him talking about fighters and praising fighters. He doesn't have that in him. And this was, for me, just perfect to see. That's the Lionheart I want to see. Get him mad. He said it, and that's the fight that he gave is I'm not going to be willing to be a stepping stone for anybody. And even though in the first round, we have to tell that he got rocked on the first round.
Yeah.
He got a punch where he got rocked. He was wobbly. He holed, then came back and said, you know what? I'm going to finish this. And he was angry. It's like whenever you see a running back in football that you say, oh, he's running mad. Well, he was fighting mad. Intelligent, very poised after he got rocked, but mad. So in the end, all over the antics on after the fight and everything, he is mad and pissed at the people that are making the fights, at the UFC, at the fans. He's mad at everyone, and good for him. Now, as we said before, how long that motivation will take you.
Yeah.
Let me prove everyone wrong. It will take you just so far. He's a very good fighter. He's disciplined. He's always in shape. He's fighting IQ. You can tell it because I enjoy him when every time he's on the table.
He looks like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. There's some guys that just make it look good because I don't want to say they perfected it, but their technique is, you can see just the difference. And Anthony Smith is one of those people. He looks like a real tactician every time he's in there.
Correct.
And when he's on the winning side, but when he's losing, like Glover Teixeira overpowered him. I don't know if there was, you know what I mean, maybe it was a bad fight for him, but Glover Teixeira obviously not. Well, he's fighting for the belt, I do believe, next. I think he's fighting Jan next.
It might.
So that's got something to say about Glover, who is like 46 years older. I think he might even be older than that.
Now, good thing for Smith is that he got performance of the night. We did not see fight of the night. We had 4 performances across. This is one of them. Good for him to making that bag and grabbing his money. Now, what's next for him on the division? What are we looking and expecting him to be fighting against?
Well, there's really, and that's the thing. That's the tricky thing about the light heavyweight division, because like since John's left, the 2 top contenders have really now become even. The 2 top contenders when John Jones left was Thiago Santos and Reyes, and since then they both had pretty bad.
Jan Blachowicz, we have Jerry, and we have Dom Reyes on 4th. And to me, the last fight,
Dom's lost his last two fights, has he not? And he lost the last one pretty badly. For him to come up the way he was he not undefeated when he met John?
I think so. Yeah.
And then John handed him his first loss and put up a hell of a fight. A lot of people argue that he won the fight, but he's had 2 fights since then and then looked like absolutely terrible. So I don't know. I think Anthony Smith's probably, you think Glover, I'm almost positive Glover's fighting Jan for the belt next. So
it is. It's going to be in October. Now, one thing in there. John is in a 3-win straight. Is Dom Reyes, EC, and Corey Anderson.
Yeah.
So, in the other hand, you have Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, and Nikita Krylov for Glover. So it makes sense for me that the number one is getting Glover. But should we see Jerry against Anthony Smith next to see who's the best one and who's next?
You know what wouldn't surprise me? It wouldn't surprise me at all is if you see Paulo Costa move up a weight class.
Oh, well, first of all, how many times has he postponed fights?
Well, no, I know. But maybe it's because he can't make weight.
Well, Balloon Boy needs to stop eating and focus on fighting. Balloon Boy, as Easy was mentioning, that's why it's called Balloon Boy, because he's just not prepared or there.
So, was John wasn't the king of a shitty division. He just outlasted a whole bunch of great fighters. And It's got to the point now where, you know what I mean? There's still 3 or 4 that are hanging around, but they all just keep going up and then having falls and going up and having falls. There's no clear-cut number one contender in that division as far as I'm concerned.
Correct. Glover is fighting John, and I think Thiago is fighting Johnny Walker.
I've seen that as coming up.
Yeah, that's on October as well. But I think for me, the next one to be looking at is Jerry against Anthony Smith to see who's going to be beating or having the shot for the next fight for whomever comes out a champion from John and Glover.
Oh, and then you've still got Kutalaba, who's in that, you know what I mean? He's lower end of that mix anyway. So they've got a lot of powerful looking guys, but then they look great, and then they come across just an absolute convincing defeat, and it's kind of hard to put them up there.
Yeah, but the problem is that you're looking into all of this, and you go all the way almost to top 20 to find Kuchalaba in there, because you have Jamahal Hill, Dustin Jacob, Paul Craig. Paul Craig, to me, it's interesting fight. It could be Paul Craig and Kuchalaba, the Scottish guy. Shout out to Wixie.
Yeah.
The Scottish guy had very good outings, 3 on a row, both of them by stoppage. So that would be probably a good fight for Kuchalaba. But we're talking about all the way top 20 guys.
And the thing is, you're not going to have him fight Glover. If Glover takes the win, then I could see him fighting Jan easily. But if Jan beats Glover, which if I was a betting man, that's probably what I would bet on. Do you really want Anthony Smith fighting Glover Teixeira again? Obviously you don't. Maybe it could be his redemption fight, you know what I mean?
And if it's for a title, of course I am, because I have 2 more reasons to beat you.
Yeah, no, I can see it. Who knows? I guess it's all going to depend on what happens come the Jan Blachowicz Glover Teixeira fight, which is a fight I'm excited to see. I would love to see Glover win the fight, but Jan has looked so dominant in all of his performances as of late. But he's another one too, you know what I mean? Like he got all the way up and then fell from grace, like just plummeted back down to earth, and then built himself back up to the champion that he is now. So the whole light heavyweight division has just been a bunch of roller coaster rides for everybody in it. It's kind of nuts the way it went down. And that was, so like we said, that wasn't the only night of fights that we had. We also had the Bellator fights. Now, I only got to see, I think it was 2 of them, I believe. And I forgot to pull the Bellator.
Phil Davis and Yoel Romero was the main one.
Oh my God.
You saw that one.
Yeah, and one of the judges give it to Yoel Romero, which I couldn't believe. Yoel Romero,
Wait. Do you want to go in order, or do you want to go for the ones that you remember?
No, so there was only that one and the one before it. That's all I got a chance to watch, because by the time you told me.
Let's talk about Naaman Gracie. Naaman Gracie.
Oh, I seen that fight too. Sorry, my bad.
Okay. Big John on the shout out to Big John. He does a very good job commentating prior and then explaining everything throughout the fight. That's good. But man, he said that Gracie is the best. Naaman is the best.
He didn't say that though. He was saying that they were saying that everybody was saying that, quote unquote. I think he was trying to say like that was the family that was saying that and shit. I don't know. I thought it was Kron. In my opinion, I thought it was Kron Gracie, and he's already been beaten. Yeah.
Well, but still, we're talking about the Gracies, man. The best ever. Even Gracie. It's a big take. Big John said that. Nonetheless, I said this kid if this fight is gonna be like that, he needs to come out and do it. Wow, elbows and punches from Gracie.
Yeah,
Neyman did a very good job, very precise striking, and man, that elbow to finish, it was just a piece of a beauty.
yeah, it was that definite beauty. He put on an absolute clinic, and he's very promising on the come up. It's crazy to see him in Bellator. That's great. I love to see Bellator building their own names, because that's going to be the only way they're ever able to compete with the UFC and start to. Because I eventually, if Bellator keeps going the way it is, I wouldn't doubt if it eclipses UFC at some point in time. A lot's going to have to change in the UFC in order for that growing of Bellator to stop, I think.
The other fight that I wanted to talk about, it's the Deanna Bennett, the vitamin D, that she gave a shout out to Laura Sanko. It said, "Oh, Big John, you're not Laura." So she's getting into that list of weird girls that have the crush to Laura Sanko. Who doesn't have a crush towards Laura Sanko? But still, she was very good. She beat the Mexican Colombian Alejandra Lara. Alejandra is a very good technique wise, but she looked small and slow. And I did not know vitamin D did not make weight. She paid her money in there because she couldn't make the weight, but she had an impressive outing. Very good job. I don't know if in the next one she will make the weight, but it was a very good fight to watch. Very interesting, very entertaining. And Alejandra tried her best, but it was not enough for her.
Yeah, no, it was a good fight. I seen that fight, and then I seen the Gracie fight, which, like you said, Gracie put on apps. He did put on for the Gracies, and then in the main event, it was Yoel Romero dancing in the middle of the ring, with another one just running around, pointing him from the outside for 3 rounds. End of 3 rounds, Yoel's yelling at everybody that he thought it was 5 rounds, and it was just an absolute fucking farce. And
now farce. From Yoel's
From
side.
Yoel. It had nothing to do. It should have been a great fight. I was excited for the fight. Any Yoel Romero fight should be a great fight. But then he gets in the ring and does what the fuck Yoel Romero does in his last 2 fights. And it's just like, it's hard to put any. I'm not going to be excited for the next one.
Of course. That is understandable. Now, let's take into an account, how old is Yoel Romero?
Yeah, but he don't look how old is Yoel? How old is he really? Or how old does he look?
Yeah, and that's what I was. Shout out to my friend on the West Coast, Guillermo, that we were talking about this. What Yoel Romero we will see. It's the dancing monkey, just taking it slow and not doing anything in there, or are we gonna see the Russian experiment on all of the roids and all of the drugs
the Cuban experiment? Not Russian.
Yoel,
oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I get you. Pepe with the fucking conspiracies. Look at this guy over here.
Of course. Well, I have the tinfoil hat in here. So, speaking of that, it's which Yoel will see, and unfortunately, he's that old. The last outings we have seen are like this. I don't expect to see anything else.
Yeah, he hasn't got a gas tank, so it's obvious why he's trying to conserve like he is. But for him to then run around and say, "I thought it was 5 rounds. I thought it for 5 rounds," I could understand it, because, like, it's not the UFC would have been 5 rounds, but it's not the UFC, and that's what they were saying. And I don't know. I think like, how the fuck do you sign a contract, get through training, and not know you're only fighting 3 rounds? So I think that was a bit bullshit. Yoel lost very, very badly, and still one of the judges managed to give it to him. It went split decision.
Now, in that case, I did not see a split decision. Phil Davis is good. He's not great, but he's good. He kept his point in there, and what he mentioned at the post fight, and that's interesting. He said, "I was never hit that hard as he did on the first round." Now, if that guy that has been prepared, that has been punched so many times, says, "Holy hell, this guy is different and hits different," why don't you put that to the fighter? I mean, do that more. Try to sell that. You are the wrestler. I did not see any change of levels from Joel. Try to do a little bit of wrestling, or just fake and then go over
You're all for being a
the right
world like
hook.
he's a silver medalist in the Olympics, is he not?
Gold
Is
medalist,
it
I
gold
think.
medalist? I thought it was
I
silver.
think he was
Either
gold
way, he's a
medalist.
medalist in the Olympics, and the guy never uses wrestling ever. But he always swings that
Why?
hammer just like a fucking sledge. If he
Yeah, good
connects,
thing
it's lights out. But
on the second round, he was trying to be taken down and he was quick to his feet. He got tired. He got taken down by Phil Davis.
yeah, and he was
Phil
taken down
Davis was doing ground.
pretty
It's
convincingly.
like, what's going on? You're a pro wrestler. What happened
He
with
couldn't
that?
get he couldn't
And
get separation off the cage, and that's what it was because he would constantly get back up to his feet, exert all his energy trying to get back up to his feet, but he couldn't get the push off. So then Phil would just grip a hold of the legs and then back down on his ass. He would go. And then it would be a scramble to try to get back to his feet, and it was the same thing over and over and over again, basically.
kudos to Phil Davis to be taking down, controlling
An
that
Olympic
monster,
wrestler,
that beast
yeah.
that is. And I stand corrected. You're right. It's a silver medalist. He was just a world champion, but still, man, that's your forte. That's what you're
Yeah,
known
and he never
for.
uses it. He never uses it.
That
But it's
that
because
is
his
very
gas
weird.
tank, like as when you're carrying around that much muscle, it's just he's got no gas tank, and he's proven
Oh, of
that time and
course.
time again.
I know about it. Of course. Yeah.
I'll bet
Jeez.
you do. I'll bet you do. And then getting into news items for the week, we've got our favorite fighter finally has a fight booked, it seems. And wouldn't you know it, it's against another unranked opponent.
Oh, surprisingly, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know if this is his doing. He keeps bitching that it's the fucking UFC's fucking him and the bookers, and these guys are scared to fight him. Yet, anytime anybody in the division fights, they all, you know what I mean?
he was offered Frankie Edgar and he chickened out. So this is the second option. Why did you back away from Frankie Edgar? Are you scared about something? Is it because Frankie's better at least on the ground? So come on, man. It's crystal clear. I am sorry because he has a talent. He might be a very good fighter across in the history, but that he's not interested
Did he
in it.
break his
He
fucking
just
hands on Moutinho's face?
Yep, he did. And
So
he was extended his rest because of it.
yeah. So does it? There's
The
no booking.
suspension.
There's no booking day for this. I'm assuming.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think can remember if it's
No, it doesn't look like anywhere in there. It says.
I don't know. I don't know
date.
if it's December. If it is, it might be December or they
So when
will
did it, that
jump
was that
until
fight
next
was
year.
last month, wasn't it? I guess it was probably 2 months ago. So he
2 months ago.
he couldn't have broke his fucking hands too bad if he's gonna be fighting before the end of the year. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows?
I'm not a doctor.
Somebody's gonna be asking a doctor,
Yeah,
to
I
have
just
it ready.
I'd like to see this kid this guy either, you know what I mean, fight somebody and beat him convincingly because I'm excited to see him fight because he does have a talent, or
Mhm.
get that loss to maybe kind of humble him and then see him grow.
But this could have been a very good fight in New York against Frankie Edgar, upcoming.
Yeah,
Either he's not ready or he's afraid, but
of a
he's turned
wrestler.
it down.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. He's definitely got a shitload of proving to do. He's because
oh
we've
yeah.
seen him against nobodies. Somebody who's not a nobody and that announced their retirement, unfortunately, was Joseph Benavidez. He's decided to retire. One-time champion. Oh, not the one time. I think he was a couple-time champion of the UFC. Is it the flyweight division?
I think he was doing
Yeah.
what he was supposed to be for the flyweight division. He stayed in that division.
Once
We had not much attention in there for that. I think the last one, Formiga, he beat Formiga for the champion.
yeah,
Can't
well, yeah,
remember.
I don't even. And then there was the two fights with Figueiredo.
Correct.
Figueiredo missing weight on the first one, winning the fight, and then coming back, making weight, taking the belt. Yeah, and then he was done pretty well after that. Surprised to see it, kind of. I'm not. But as a result, now with the number 2, arguably out of the division, we now have the third fight of Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo. I think it's another example of you've got your top 3 to 5. It's not a top 10, kind of like what the light heavyweight looking like is kind of the same as the flyweight. I'm excited to see this fight nonetheless. I obviously we knew it was going to happen. Brandon Moreno thought Figueiredo should have had to fight some other people to get back to him. Pepe agreed with it. He kind of convinced me to agree with it. I understand why. I keep forgetting that the first fight was a draw and it wasn't a Figueiredo win. So yeah, I could see why he would want Figueiredo to fight some other people. We'll see if weight plagues Figueiredo like it has in the past. And it'll be interesting fight nonetheless. And of course, we're going to be pulling for Brandon Moreno.
I think we both agree that Figueiredo could be a very good contender on the next division.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard for him once again to go and fight in flyweight in that case, but still, that's a decisive fight between these guys. As we saw the trilogy with DC. There's all of the stories that we see on the trilogy. Obviously, my heart says and wants that Moreno comes out victorious from it so he can have 2 convincing victories, but still, Figueiredo is a very dangerous fighter nonetheless. So we'll see what happens in 269.
Yeah, no, I won't be. I'll be excited, and I'll definitely be pulling for Brandon Moreno myself. I was one of the most excited I've been to watch him win the championship probably since GSP.
That is cool.
It was great.
Just to stand corrected on both of us, Figueiredo fought Benavidez for the vacant title. The first one went to Figueiredo because he missed weight. He was not able to take the title.
Yeah.
On the second one, he lost it. So Benavidez was not a UFC champion. I think he could have been one of those. So he retired without a championship, but well, he's married to Megan O'Leary. So.
Yeah. And that was after what's his face retired, right? I wouldn't doubt you see
Cejudo.
Yeah, so if we see if we see Brandon Moreno beat Figueiredo, I wouldn't doubt if we see Henry Cejudo come back. I'm calling it now.
And that's what I said with Figueiredo. He missed weight for that title fight.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. He was a vacant title. It was your chance. And Benavidez, unfortunately, lost it. But hey, life gives you and life takes away. You don't have a UFC championship, but you have Megan in your corner.
Yeah, no, he's doing all right. And I'm sure he's going to ride off into the sunset, into retirement, no problem. Somebody who's not riding off in the sunset of his late, Dan Hooker's in danger of losing his spot on 266. And he's gone public asking for travel visa requests.
Now that is true, and this is something that we are seeing across the globe because of the permits and how you do it. Now I don't understand. This is your job. I know it's a sport. I know it's fighting, but still, it's a job. Can you get a little bit of leverage for these people because they're fighting their butts off?
You want to know what I think it is, Pep? He's probably not double vaccinated.
Ooh, are we getting into that uncomfortable conversation?
I can't confirm it, but why else would it be an issue when everybody else is traveling? I don't know what the rest of the world's like, and I'm not one to, you know what I mean? I don't know my asshole from a hole in the ground, but you're seeing, if we're having Volkanovski fighting, either he never left.
He never left.
I didn't think he ever left.
We discussed,
but we're still having Izzy keeps going back and coming back, but we haven't seen Izzy since we've seen Hooker last, so who knows?
Easy mentioned the same, and he said, I am right now starting the process. I want to fight in December, but I don't have a date for it. So Easy said it the same. Still, I was not thinking of that because I'm not a tinfoil hat brother like you and Chase are.
Yeah.
But it might be one of those things. I'm not sure if Easy's double backed or not.
Yeah, who knows? And that's obviously something that we'll never know. But it's definitely one thing that's taken head in a lot of different countries. That vaccine,
and I would hate to see because I want to see Dan Hooker fight.
Oh yeah,
I would hate to see it.
Dan Hooker's a great fight. I love watching him fight. He's come up against some real tough ones as of late, but I'm definitely excited every time he's on a card.
Agreed.
Somebody else who I used to always get excited with was Anthony Rumble Johnson, and he was doing good in even in this Grand Prix. His last fight, He was very mad at himself for getting rocked and dropped. He was more pissed off in a win than I've ever seen anybody before, I think. But he's unfortunately out of the light heavyweight Grand Prix.
Now that's weird because it's an injury, but they don't say what's the injury. Now
I'm
see
pretty sure
Rumble Johnson.
they've postponed the fight once already, I believe. If not, they postponed the last fight.
Now, Rumble, we have seen him change his physique from bulk and big and humongous to a very skinny, thin, almost sick looking. I hope he's fine. I hope it's nothing illness, very grave. He's 37 still.
Yeah, no.
Joseph just retired at 37, and he did not change weight a lot, and he was just a down to earth guy. I hope the best for Rumble, but not sure if this is coming to an end of an era and just probably riding to the sunset.
Yeah, no, it's tough to see. Rumble obviously being a very dominant fighter in his day, and like I said, he still is. His last fight out, he did get dropped, but he got back up from that drop. And
but remember, when was his last fight previously from Bellator? It was DC on 2017.
Yeah. So that one other fight that we're excited for, thanks to Pepe getting me into boxing now and for introducing me who these guys actually are. I was excited to see. Of course, everybody now, I think it's been worldwide news has seen the fight. Dana White said that these guys are absolutely crazy. Why were they ever up there without bodyguards or whatnot? Nobody between them. And I thought that too when I first seen the video. And they both were walking up by themselves. I was like, oh, that's dangerous. I was like, I hope these guys really like each other. Well, they definitely didn't. And it come to blows. And Caleb Plant tries to throw the punch. Canelo ducks and throws the hook. And it looks like he landed. So, interesting start to a very exciting fight. And now, is that fight this weekend, Pep?
No, that's going to be in November.
Oh, okay. So it's November. So they're just doing, okay. I was all excited because I was like, there's a lot of shit going on this weekend then, because we've got the UFC pay-per-view, and then there's something else I believe is going on this weekend too. A lot of
NFL football because you have your Raiders.
Oh yeah, Raiders, and they're don't even get me started, doing a lot better than I thought.
There's an MMA pod.
Yeah,
lay off the football, and Raiders will be the Raiders anyway. Now,
Raiders
coming back to Canelo. Canelo is not known for doing this antics or being this mad. It's weird. Now, do I agree with what he did? Absolutely not. Am I happy that he just docked like in the Matrix and just punched his face? Was like, let's go, boy. I mean, and Caleb Plant has a nasty cut, and as we say in Mexico, he just gave a bastard stepdad slap in the face, and he got caught. So I'm interested to see. Not sure why he's so heated. I've seen Canelo mad just a couple of times, and it has been with the Mexican press. And it's because he's a calm, down-to-earth guy. He's done a lot of work for NGOs in Mexico and his community. But there's a point where the press in Mexico came down on him so hard that said, you know what, fuck you guys. I don't care if you don't recognize my name, but stay off my ass. And he said specifically that on national TV. And it was weird. So it's not Canelo-like, but there should be something in there. And I'm interested to see what was said or what happened, because this is not very common from him.
Yeah, no, it was very heated exchange, and I definitely, it just adds to the fight. I'm definitely excited to see it. But I'm also excited for this weekend's event, as we've got our first UFC pay-per-view in almost over 2 months. UFC moving from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Saying. So, of course, now it's time for my picks, Dab's picks for the week, or for the month, sorry, and almost the same as the last time I went undefeated. I picked the whole left side of the card. Now this time around, and some are going to hate me for it, the only one I'm not picking on the left side of the card is Nick Diaz. I think Robbie Lawler wins this fight. It's a 5-round fight. We haven't seen Nick in a long time. There's rumors that Nick was knocked out in sparring. I've always questioned whether Nick should come back and fight. Some of the interviews that he's done in the past, I don't know, it just sounds like the speech wasn't all there. And a lot of people say that about Nate too. But Nate always kind of sounded like that. Nick just really sounded a lot worse. Like I said, he hasn't done enough. I haven't seen enough interviews to really know that that's a fact. But now there's rumors that he got knocked out in sparring. Who knows? Yeah, he burned a lot of brain cells. But who knows?
Yeah, bro. It happens to one of my friends over.
Yeah.
When we start the show, it starts slow, but then it picks up the rhythm.
Once she wears off.
Now, once again, Nick is fighting on a catch weight. That's what we found out.
And that's another thing too. It just happened.
Who's the fat guy in
there? Yeah, he asked and Robbie agreed to move up the weight. So yeah, it's not a good start, obviously. I'm picking Robbie Lawler. So we'll go right from the bottom. I got Jessica Andrade over Cynthia Calvillo. I
agree.
And then I think Curtis Blade's going to beat Rosenstruck. I'm not counting Rosenstruck out, though, because he's basically not as good version of Derek Lewis, and we've seen what Derek Lewis did with Curtis Blades. But Derek Lewis was also losing that fight until he landed that hook on Curtis Blades. So Curtis Blades a great
hasn't looked. Jairzinho hasn't looked good at all.
But he had a knockout after losing to because he got knocked out, and then. Yeah, he got knocked out by Francis, and then he come back and he won, I believe, or he lost that one and then won. But yeah, he hasn't looked the greatest afterwards. That's why I think Blades wins this fight. And then we've got the Nick Diaz-Robbie Lawler fight. I've, like I said, taken Robbie in this fight, I believe. I think it'll probably finish too. Third round, look for it. So I'm giving three there. Finished in third round by Robbie Lawler. Valentina Shevchenko, Lauren Murphy's look great, moving up. But she's not close to being on Valentina's level. I think you'll see Valentina come out and try to show her ground game again, just to show that she's a well-rounded fighter. But who knows? Maybe she'll stand on the feet and bang with Lauren, because she's the greatest of that division. And then we've got Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Of course, the Ultimate Fighter coaches. Volkanovski basically living in the U.S. the whole time the COVID's been happening, as crazy as that is, and missing his first fight due to COVID. And that's why this fight was put off because of COVID. So this is going to be a great fight, but I think Volkanovski comes out with it in the end. Brian Ortega, great fighter. Volkanovski obviously not training in his regular surroundings, a lot of adjustments for him, huge life adjustments. So who knows what kind of headspace he's in. But I think at the end of the day, it's just Volkanovski's when he makes Max Holloway, almost look normal. Anybody that can do that, I think, is just an exceptional fighter. I wouldn't say he makes Max look normal. He just makes them both look equally as crazy. So I think I got Volk on this fight too.
Yeah, that split decision. Don't make me remind that split decision.
Max won
Holloway.
That fight. I don't think it's any question about it. Max should be having the belt right now. I'm a firm believer in that too.
Yeah, and that's what I hate the most.
But I think that's
my
it.
Heart
I think
says
it's
Brian, but
yeah.
Volk probably is going to take it.
I think it's a 1-2. It's Max and Volk at the top of that division, and then the rest are all just fighting for third place, in my opinion. That's Dab's picks for the week. We'll see how we do, obviously, next week when we come back. But
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But as always, we will be back next week to break down this UFC 266, see what my record is, and talk a bunch more bullshit. Hope you enjoy the show. Come by always. Remember, hit that like button, press subscribe, ring that bell so you know when we go live. Leave a comment. Let us know that we're just a bunch of fucking jackasses and we should probably stop doing this. We ain't going to listen because we're going to talk about this shit anyway, but you can waste your breath if you'd like. We enjoy y'all watching, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
See ya.